It's Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. I want to talk about a whole bunch of things today. I want to start with these rolling blackouts in China. This is going to mean empty shelves here in America. The electricity shortage happening in China right now could have catastrophic effects on America. They're talking about factories that manufacture 6 days a week, cutting that down to 4 days a week. And this is going to mean more shortages here in America. So we have 90 plus cargo ships at the port that can't unload supplies and cheap products. And now with this shortage of electricity in China, who we depend on for so much, we may see less cargo ships and less products coming to America. So we're going to go from one problem to another problem. And this is the problem when you are reliant on other countries for goods and products. Yet, Wall Street will continue to double down. Nothing seems to affect these manipulated markets, but it's going to continue to affect you. It's going to continue to affect me, and is no doubt going to continue to affect this economy. I want to just share a story from yesterday when I was traveling. We cut through a city called Hemet, California, and we were going to the Gladiator Challenge, to the fights yesterday. Here's the shirt from the fights yesterday, Gladiator Challenge. Great event, and we talk about adding balance in our life and just taking a break. I had to take a couple days off and just take a break from everything that's going on. So we went to the fights yesterday. It was awesome, and it was just great to see people stand up and put their hands over their heart for the national anthem yesterday. And I'm going to support events like Gladiator Challenge, UFC, who really haven't sold themselves out, who still believe in standing up for the national anthem. And it was a great event yesterday. But as we were heading out there, we cut through the city of Hemet, and they are building, or at least getting ready to build, thousands of more homes. Now, years ago, Hemet was on 60 Minutes. I believe it was 60 Minutes, because it was one of the hardest hit cities in America after the 2008 housing crash. And it's just absolutely amazing, as we're driving through Hemet yesterday, to just see hundreds and hundreds of acres just being leveled out, getting ready to build homes, and just seeing hundreds of homes already going up, brand new. It's just absolutely insane to watch this going on. The same city that a decade ago was on 60 Minutes because so many people in that city lost their homes. So many builders were wrecked from building homes in Hemet. And we're going to see, no doubt, a repeat of this happening again. But I also today want to talk about the banking problems that we are continuing to see. Is your money safe in the banks? A couple days ago, many people were messaging me, telling me they could not access their bank accounts. They could not get money out of their accounts. They couldn't pay bills. Everything was frozen. And here's an article today on the hedge. Banks around the world are suffering big outages, leaving millions of customers in lurch at worst possible time. So this is, just, in relation to what all of you were writing me just a couple days ago, and people not being able to access their bank accounts. 20 banks, 6 countries, 5 continents, tens of millions of unhappy customers. How quickly you can be locked out of your account, how quickly you may not be able to access your money. Just think, like, if you were traveling and you were out of state and you needed that money, what would you do? What do you do if you don't have cash on you? You can't access your account. You need to pay for a hotel room. You need to pay to eat. You need to pay to get a taxi or an Uber or whatever it might be. What do you do when you can't access your money? In recent weeks, the UK, Japan, South Africa, Venezuela, Mexico all had outages. September 12th, operating failures at Mexico's largest bank, BBVA, left 24 million account holders unable to access their accounts, 13,000 ATMs not working, its mobile app not working. But look, we continue to hear that it's glitches, it's outages, it's cyber attacks, whatever the case, whatever it may be, you're shut out of your account. Somebody wrote me and said that they deposited money a week ago and now it shows 0 deposits. I just, when I see these type of reports, I just think, what happens in this last 7 days, 14 days, a month? What does the average American do? And all I can say is be very, very careful about where you're putting your money and how much money you're putting in one place. They can shut you off in a heartbeat. The press of a button on a keyboard, and you can't access your money. You can't pay your bills. So think about that. You have absolutely no control of anything if you cannot access your money. You're allowing these entities to have full control. So be very, very careful about where you're putting your money. This one from Reuters a couple days ago. Coinbase says hackers stole cryptocurrency from at least 6,000 customers. If you don't hold it, ladies and gentlemen, you don't own it. Here's another one, CBS.com. Cybersecurity breach affects more than 4 million Neiman Marcus customers. There's a lot of great things about computers and the internet, but we become very, very vulnerable when we are so dependent on doing transactions and putting our money in just digits on a screen, having information out there. We are very, very vulnerable, and there's just so much technology out there with these cyber attacks, and we're so reliant now on the grid to keep everything going. Just think, just one bad day, one event, the grid goes down, massive cyber attack, heaven forbid an EMP. What are you going to do? The point I'm trying to make is make sure that you have physical access to some money. Make sure you have physical access to your assets and some cash, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Now I want to talk about restaurants here. We got another article here from The Hedge. New York restaurants, business down 40 to 60%. And it's down because of all these rules, the regulation, the economy, the fear, the list goes on. And how in the world are these restaurants going to make it? Not just in New York, but I just did a video a few days ago. Restaurant business in America, 51% of restaurants right here in the US did not make their rent last month. And I'll tell you, this continues to get much, much worse. And this does not look good for the economy. It's not a positive outlook. For small business here in America. So many small businesses struggling. And think about that number. 51% of restaurants in America did not pay their rent last month. And so the news continues to get bad. It's getting worse. Right here in New York City. New York City has just been obliterated. Here's another article. Restaurants fragile. Recovery is fizzling in U.S. And this article made a good point that you might go out on a Friday or Saturday night and the restaurants are busy. I can go in my area. Some of the restaurants are packed, but that's 2 days, 1 day, 2 days out of the week. And a lot of these restaurants are only open 4 or 5 hours a day now. So you might have a busy Friday, you might have a busy Saturday, but there's 7 days in the week. And these restaurants are suffering. They've had to cut hours. Many of them have cut quality of food, and 5 days out of the week, they're dead. So, a lot of people go, oh, JB, I went out, Saturday night, the restaurants are packed, everything's fine. Go there on a Tuesday, go there on a Wednesday. And you might think that they're packed, but again, they're not even open for lunch anymore. They're just open, 5 hours out of the day. So they're actually really doing horrible. Food prices are soaring, labor cost is soaring, and remember, 51%. Every time you pass by a restaurant, just know that there's a 51% chance that they didn't even pay their rent last month. That's how great the restaurant business is doing. So it's just shocking where we're at and what's happening to this economy. Yet The stock market continues to soar. The housing bubble becomes more and more inflated, and everybody on the television is telling you and I everything is great. Another article today, housing is on fire. Literally, this was great. A Boston home burnt down, okay? This house burnt down. It is now selling for $400,000. This is how out of control this bubble is. This is fantasy land that we're in right now, the twilight zone, that a house that is literally in rubble, burnt down, is selling for $400,000. And I want to roll that into this article from The Hedge titled, How Can Houses Be Affordable and Booming? And everybody will say, well, look, everything's doing great. Housing prices are soaring. Home sales are soaring. Everything's wonderful, JB. You know, these kind of imbalances that we're seeing is normally a sign of an imploding crash, ladies and gentlemen, followed by a price drop, but that's not happening. And you know, this housing market should have crashed a couple years ago already, and it hasn't. And there's reasons why. If we go back to the last recession, 2008, during the housing crash, it was all that easy money coming from Wall Street. Hedge funds and private equity firms figured out that they could borrow money for next to nothing. And they could buy up all those houses that the banks were repossessing and rent them back to millions of people who've lost their homes. And they made very, very good returns in doing this. And many people learned a very, very valuable lesson back then because they bought a house that they couldn't afford, living way beyond their means. And here we are now in 2021. And it seems like a lot of people didn't really learn their lesson, because if they did, they would be repeating the same mistakes that they were doing back in 05 and 06 and 07. Now, Wall Street is doubling down, using hundreds of billions of dollars of essentially free money to outbid individual buyers like you and I. BlackRock has bought up entire neighborhoods at big premiums, pushing everyone out of the market. You want to know why? You've got to bid $50,000 over a listing price? Well, because you're going up against the likes of BlackRock and Wall Street. Hence, the disconnect between home prices and family incomes. I mean, look at the average household income in America. There's no way that the average household can afford to buy an average home in America today. Zillow, known for its real estate listings that people browse on the internet, guilty. Well, Zillow has gotten into the house flipping business, offering to quickly take properties off sellers' hands. In the process, it's helping pull Wall Street even deeper into the $2 trillion US housing market. In August, get this, ladies and gentlemen, in August, Zillow raised $450 million from a bond backed by homes it bought but not yet sold. Investors will bet on anything. Now they're betting on the housing market. How do you think this will turn out? Please comment down below. Zillow expects to acquire homes at a pace of 5,000 homes per year by 2024. They're going to acquire, that's what they're on pace for, to acquire 5,000 homes per year by 2024. I mean, I think it should be completely illegal that this is taking place. It's doing so much damage to the housing market. It's affecting so many families. It's affecting so many first-time buyers. OfferPad Solutions, the largest iBuyer, could eventually buy 70,000 homes a year. It wants to capture 4% of home sales in 100 markets. And you think the markets aren't fake, ladies and gentlemen? You think they're not manipulated? When this bubble, this housing bubble bursts, they will be the first ones to want you to bail them out. This right now, we are watching possibly an Evergrande taking place here in America. When you look at the amount of money that these entities are spending on on homes here in America, and the premium that they're paying and the bubble that they are causing. And yes, when the bubble bursts, and it will, these will be the first people flying in their private jets with their silver cups going, America, please bail us out. Please bail us out. While everyone cheers soaring wealth, America's social order is unraveling. Stocks rising, cryptos, housing, all rising. Is this proof of Americans' soaring wealth? The television brags daily about America's soaring wealth. We cheer the billionaires. We love to cheer on the billionaires going to space. We love and envy the private jets. We envy the $500 million yachts, the $100 million homes. Let's not forget right here in Beverly Hills, the house called The One that they were going to put on the market for $500 million. People just love this stuff. We accept our politicians having multi-million dollar fortunes and our billionaires gaining additional wealth so effortlessly because they get all the help at the very top from the Fed. They're at the top of the pyramid. But the evidence of decay is all around us. We look at the road rage and the violence here in America, the drug use. We're looking at our cities decaying and crumbling, our infrastructure, our debt going through the roof, homeless encampments all over the place. And wealth is declining for the bottom 80% of Americans. The top 0.1% now own more wealth than the bottom 80% of American households. How do you feel about that? Comment down below. You know, at the very top of the pyramid, at the very, very tippy top of that pyramid is 0.1%, not the 1%, the 0.1%. So as the bottom 80% of America and the middle class continue to get robbed, the speculators, the scammers on Wall Street, the day traders gambling their Pelosi portfolios, the people who are just doubling down on this rigged system, on this Ponzi scheme, well, they can focus on rising stocks. They can focus on rising cryptos. They can continue to gamble in this housing bubble. But ladies and gentlemen, I've seen this movie before. You've seen this movie before, and you know how it ends. Does not end well. It's going to be very, very ugly. And these people who continue to double down, these people laugh, and you know, these people are going to continue to buy the dip and buy the dip and buy the dip. One day, that dip's not coming back. And these are going to be the same people because they were so greedy and couldn't walk away. And you know, all they could do is believe that the Fed would never, ever let them down. While they were laughing, telling you and I that this could never happen, there'll never be a collapse, the Fed will never allow it to happen, they're not going to have a choice. The Fed is getting themselves so deep in trouble. And look, the bottom line is, if nobody's working in this country, if the dollar continues to lose more purchasing power, and we're losing so many jobs, and now the supply chain disruption that's taking place, and now we're talking about electricity shortages in China. If they cannot make products to get to America, what are we going to do? Unbelievable. But while that's all happening, and while they're telling you and I everything's great, food stamp benefits to receive historic increase in October. Beginning this month, the average benefits for food stamps will grow over 25%. This is an additional $20 billion per year. Who's paying for this? You know who's paying for this. You're paying for this. I'm paying for this. So as I close this video out today, I just want to say this. We'll turn on the television tomorrow. They're going to tell us how great the stock market is, how great the housing market is, how great everything is, and how everybody's becoming wealthy. Everybody's wealthy now, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's got a private jet. Everybody has a multi-million-dollar yacht. Everybody has $1 million in their bank account. Everybody's made $20 million on cryptocurrencies. Everybody's wealthy. But right here, beginning this month, the average benefits for food stamps will grow over 25%, and they're going to need $20 billion to do that, to take care of over 42 million people that need those benefits. If things are so great, how come 42 million people in the wealthiest nation on planet Earth need food stamps? Because we're the largest debtor nation, and all this news is just so fake. And it's going to do so much damage because people listen to this stuff. They watch the television daily. They're making life-altering choices and investment based on what they're hearing on a daily basis. And they're listening to people in $2,000 and $3,000 suits tell them everything's great, that this thing is going to go to the moon. The stock market could never go down. You'll never lose a dime on your home. Buy, spend. And everybody is listening to this news, and they're taking this news and they're making huge financial decisions, and they're being misled. They are really being misled, and they're going to pay the ultimate price here. They're going to be a casualty of this collapse. And look, tomorrow the market could go up 500 points and people will laugh at me. That's fine, but it scares me more watching these markets go up than when they go down, because it is so rigged. Because you have to ask yourself, why is the market going up 500 points? I think, what were we up on Friday? 480 some odd points? I mean, based on what? The 362,000 jobs that we lost the day before? I mean, it is really tragic what we're seeing, and it's going to be more tragic when this thing bursts, because people who believed in all this and thought that the party would go on forever are going to be absolutely wiped out. And look, I don't care who laughs. I don't really care. I'm getting ready for the storm because I know what happens after this. I've seen this movie before. You've seen this movie before. This will be no different. It'll just be worse.